All right, y'all, it is about that time. We have made it to the end of season 4 of Snowfall. Let's get into the season finale. This episode picks up almost right where episode 9 left off. However, we start this episode with a little bit of context on Franklin and Alton's relationship before we are thrown right back into the drama and action. In the first scene of the episode, we see a younger Alton and an even younger Franklin back before all the drama, before the drugs, way back before he actually abandoned his family and put them through the pain and stress of Cissy having to be a single mother and raise Franklin on her own. We get to see that Franklin was actually in trouble in school in one day, and he was in trouble because he refused to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and Alton is called to the school to address the matter, and immediately he says he doesn't have to. And we get to see him in all his Black Panther attire. We know that Alton was a Black Panther back in the day, fighting for the rights of Black people in America, dealing with the fallout of civil rights and, just the historic racism of this country. He immediately yanks Franklin out of the school and lets the people know, like, you ain't got to worry about it because he don't need to be here if you're so concerned about him signing the Pledge of Allegiance. And we get a tender moment with them where he actually tells Franklin that he's going to have to choose the man that he wants to be, the person that he wants to be, and no matter who he chooses, he will love him. And then we are thrown right back into present day. And I thought that this was a very amazing moment to include because it really set the tone for the rest of the episode and helped provide context for what we actually see play out on screen. One of the things that was super concerning to me was I thought that Franklin was going to have to kill his father. In this episode, Alton is all over the place. He is finishing what Irene started. He goes back to the news station and decides that he wants to out Reed and tell Reed's alias, but then threatens to say Reed's real name and just continues to make the situation worse, like double downing and calling the CIA out. And Reed is already hip to this. Last episode, we saw him approach Franklin at the hospital and really wanted to discuss like what they were going to do about his father, particularly like, okay, so how are we going to handle killing your father? And I didn't want to see Franklin have to do it, but it felt like Alton was just pushing the issue, and that was going to ultimately have to be what had to be, honestly. So it was really nice being able to see a young Alton and a young Franklin interact, and you can really see the love that was there. You can see that he actually mutually, like, Alton loved Franklin, Franklin loved his father, Franklin respected his father, and that just helps you really walk into the rest of this episode with an idea of like, okay, maybe it won't be as easy as Franklin just pulling the trigger on his dad. And directly after that scene, we see Franklin at the hospital with Cissy, and he is like, where is Alton? He's trying to put eyes on Alton. He's asking Cissy, does she know where he is and how can she get in contact with him? And initially, you think that this is because Franklin wants to handle Alton, wants to just finally take care of it. But ultimately, we learn that Franklin is looking for his father because he wants to protect him even now, which that made me so happy to learn later on in the episode, because we have been seeing Franklin teeter between bad Franklin and good Franklin. That's, for like lack of better words, I'm going to call it bad Franklin and good Franklin, where bad Franklin makes very rash, emotional decisions and just kind of like doesn't have a conscience, and good Franklin does. Good Franklin spares people's lives. Good Franklin makes a sacrifice sometimes, and sometimes put himself into harm's way to make sure as many people as possible are protected. And we've really been seeing him teeter throughout this season, and I understand that Alton is a risk and a problem, and he potentially could need to be taken out, but I just was hoping that he wouldn't do it, because I felt like that would be something that would be kind of like no coming back from for Franklin's character, and ultimately it would signal to me the death of the like Franklin that we knew. So when we get to see later on in the episode, once he actually does get in contact with Alton after going and showing his ass at this shelter, shutting down the shelter child, he got the shelter people all pissed. And we learned that he's looking for him so that he can get him to get out of here and not get caught by Reed, not get killed by Reed, and not looking for him so that he can kill him himself. And just like clockwork, with the death of Khadijah, Crazy Scully is back and in full effect and looking for blood. He wants the streets, the hood, everybody to bleed. He is going to find any and everyone associated with Franklin and put them in the dirt, according to him. And honestly, you can't blame him. We actually got a couple episodes this season where Scully calmed down a lot. After his daughter was killed, he went back to God. He was just really moving very depressed and down and like, all right, I don't want to live this way no more. I just want to chill out. On numerous occasions, he told Khadijah that she needed to fall back. She needed to chill. Like, she needed to stop all of this. And she refused to do it. And now it feels like, or at least at the top of the episode, when we see Scully, it feels like he has nothing else left to lose. So now he's back to being crazy. When before, he still had Khadijah. So he had something that he still cared about and valued in this world. And he didn't want to see that taken away. And now that that's gone, it's the shotgun for me. It's the let's go, let's ride for me. It's the I'm gonna turn on my homies if they don't find what I'm looking for me. And that is what we see early on in this episode. Okay, so I want to go back to talking about the meetup between Alton and Franklin that happens towards the middle of the episode, because while it provided great information on how Franklin really still feels about his father, even though he's still pissed, still annoyed, still wants nothing to do with him, he still wants his dad alive, and we can see that. Their little moment of Alton disclosing his plans for Reed, where he wants Franklin to tell Reed to meet up so that he can kill Reed. Like, Alton, sir, I get it, you know, Black Panther, revolutionary, yada yada, but this is a CIA operative that's highly trained and you have a little revolver. What were you planning to do? What, sir? Franklin's like, are you kidding me? He will kill you and then kill all of us. Like, what are you even talking about? And I love this moment because it definitely gave me father-son vibes in reference to, Dad, you're tripping and this is not what we're about to do. But before they can actually get to a common ground or a decision, Scully swings by for a visit, looking for Franklin, again looking for blood. He starts shooting up the place, and luckily they are able to tag him with a bullet before he runs up out of there. Alton also winds up shot, which puts us in a very precarious situation in the middle of the episode. And I'm just like, Lord, is everybody finna die? Like, is Franklin gonna exit the season finale with everyone around him dead? I'm just, the stress. And before that scene is up, we get to see Franklin and Alton pick up where they left off after Scully runs away. And Franklin just wants Alton to agree to go away. He fake agrees to do so and then knocks Franklin out so that he can get his pager and reach Reed himself, because he is hell-bent on killing Reed, child. You would think that Alton was some type of super agent. He just on a mission, and it seems like a suicide mission, but he's definitely on a mission. And child, what's the follow happens very, very quickly, because we wind up going back between two different scenes and doing so very fast paced. Shout out to Reed Thompson, because it is in this episode that I realized how much love and respect that he actually does have for Franklin. Because after Franklin wakes up, Cissy comes to find Franklin knocked out on the ground at their home. And then he learns that Alton, took his pager and set up something with Reed. So he immediately reaches out to Reed, and Reed gets back to him. And Reed gives him the courtesy of telling him where he's going to meet his father. And that to me just signaled a big action of just pure respect, because he didn't have to do that. Reed wanted to kill Franklin's father from the jump. Like, he thought that was the answer from the jump. So even giving Franklin a chance to meet up with them and for this to go another way shows that Reed really does have a lot of respect for Franklin, and he is trying to give Franklin a chance to do it his way. And it's not too long after Reed and Alton meet up that Franklin and Cissy also pull up, and then we start to get this really action-packed sequence of events where we're cutting back and forth between Alton, Reed, Cissy, and Franklin, and Scully, who has shown up at the hospital with Jerome and Louie. Because Scully was shot at Franklin's house by Franklin, he is bleeding out but still on a mission, and puts his gun on Louie before Jerome can return back to the room. He is ready to kill Louie right in her hospital bed. And then we cut back and we see Reed talking to Franklin about how basically Alton abandoned him and turned on him, and this makes Franklin pull his gun out on his dad. And it's only for a few moments, but he definitely considered it before he has to turn his gun on Reed. as Cissy steps in the way because Reed pulls his gun out on Alton, and it just becomes a standoff, y'all. When I tell you these 2 minutes were so stressful for me to watch, I was just like, oh, they're really going to just kill everybody. Franklin going to have to start over. He's going to be in so much pain. I can't. What is next season going to look like? And I like that they actually did go back and forth between the scenes, the standoff with Scully and Louie and Jerome, and the standoff with these four, because while it was still very intense and stressful, it allowed for a little bit of a breather as you were going through trying to figure out what was going to happen on each side. Luckily, Louie is able to talk Scully down, or at least talk him down enough to the point where Jerome is able to come in and tackle him. He realizes that he's bleeding out and he's in pain. Even though I don't think at the point that Jerome tackles him, I think that Scully kind of agrees with what Louie is saying in reference to it has to stop somewhere. And he kind of just like bows out of it. And then when we cut back to Franklin, Cissy, Alton, and Reed, we can see that Reed is not going to back down behind this, but Cissy convinces Alton that they will leave. They will go to Cuba, like he will never have to worry about him again. And once Alton agrees and drops his gun, Reed also concedes as well, and that gets set up. So we wind up not seeing anyone being hurt or killed in this scene. But child, it definitely left you on the edge of your seat. Approaching the end of the episode, we don't see anyone lose their lives, but Franklin is losing people left and right. After Louie leaves the hospital, they meet up with Franklin at the club, and it's definitely tense and a little bit weird energy. They give him a bunch of money and they want to buy in, and basically they want to handle their own territory. So they want him to be their distro, but he's going to actually run their neighborhood and the areas in which they were already distributing to, ultimately removing them from Franklin and then giving them to Louie and Jerome. And they kind of put it to him like he has no choice, like it's going to be what it's going to be, and either he's going to be their distro or they'll find somebody else. But either way, they're out of business by way that Franklin has set it up. But now they're going to go out on their own, and it's similar to what Leon wanted. Like Leon wanted the projects for himself. He wanted to step out on his own, do his own thing. We saw that earlier on in the season, and Franklin brings it up. He's like, Leon wanted to do the same thing. You see how that worked out for him. And it was like, it was right. Like, I thought that coming into this, they would be asking to be out completely, but the fact that they're asking to be out and they want to take a chunk of Franklin's territory. Now, granted, it is Franklin's territory that they help set up, that they help manage, that they help expand. So I get it. But the fact that they want to be out in this way and potentially cost him is annoying. And I think that this is setting it up for season 5 to be a really big season on the battles or the conflicts within. Like in the season that we're in, season 4, there were so many battles, or the theme of it was like fighting the enemies without, or like outside of their perimeter. But now I think season 5 is going to be a lot about Franklin fighting battles on the inside, fighting between, Louie and Jerome, and getting them on one accord with what he got going on. Leon also tells him that he thinks he wants out completely, and Franklin needs him. He needs him to be here right now. He can't be losing additional people. Like, there's so many things happening internally, even though people are still alive. There's so many things happening internally that I think that a lot of season 5 might have to do with the internal fight and enemies from within. And it's interesting to see how Franklin responds to Leon telling him that he wants out. It's after Leon gives him really, really great advice about Louie and Jerome. But then we also see Franklin like he has no choice but to say, no, you cannot get out. This is what you're going to do. I've already put my life on the line with you. Or I've already put my life on the line for you, with the cops, with Scully, with Manboy. Like, I need you here. Like, you cannot leave right now. And he kind of puts it to him plain like that. So I definitely think that going into season 5 again, there's going to be a battle there, because Leon wants out. And when somebody wants something and they want it bad enough, they're going to get it. And if that's in direct opposition to, our protagonist or Franklin, then there's going to be a huge problem there. Before the episode completely ends, we see a couple loose ends being tied up. We see Cissy and Alton have made it to Cuba, and it seems like they're living life and doing just fine before Reed pops up on Alton to finish out or close out, unfinished business. It's not clear by the end of the episode if Reed actually does wind up killing Alton, but you can see that Alton understands why he's there and he's made peace with it before we actually exit. And then we also see Franklin visit Melody, who we learn then is in Odessa, Texas. So Franklin flies to Texas to confront Melody because somehow, I don't even know how he figured this out, but somehow he figures out that Melody is the reason why Irene had as much information she had to start. And he goes to let her know, like, this is your last chance. You need to keep my name out your mouth. You need to not speak on it. You need to leave me be because I'm leaving you be. I don't have a problem with the fact that you shot me. I get it, but this has got to stop. And it's interesting because Melody, I was hoping to see her a lot more in this season, but now I get why we saw her only in episode 1 and now in episode 10. She's going to have a much bigger role in season 5 for sure, just how they left this off. And she asked Franklin to just be honest with her if he really wants her to just not say anything else and moving forward, to just admit that he killed her father, and he does. And I think that this is the worst thing that could possibly happen because this is not going to stop Melody. Melody now has confirmation she's not crazy. She knows that he killed her father. That's also why he is not mad that she shot him, because he knows that he killed her father and he knows that she knows. And she wanted revenge then, and she's still going to want revenge now. While Mel does have to take accountability for herself and that she, started using crack, and that is what led to her, becoming a crackhead for a short stint, even though now it seems like she has gotten back on the wagon and is doing well, I think she harbors a lot of resentment, not even just for Franklin killing her father, but for Franklin introducing that product to the hood, and that's what put it in her path, basically. So I definitely think that season 5 we're going to see more from Mel, and even though the agreement was that she was going to leave it alone, she wasn't going to bring him up anymore, she wasn't going to send any more reporters his way and cause any more issues, there definitely going to be some smoke coming from Mel in season 5. Alright, y'all, and that is my season 4 episode 10, the finale of Snowfall breakdown. I hope you enjoyed all of our coverage of Snowfall this season. It has been a very, very interesting, complicated, nuanced, and beautifully written season. I'm very excited for where Snowfall is going in season 5. It will be returning for season 5. And if you've missed any of the episodes or you're watching this after the season has premiered already, you can catch up on it on Hulu and watch the full season and go ahead and binge it. Let me know if we should do a rewatch session of this season, because we can definitely make that happen. I know I do a lot of rewatches with my All-American crew. For the subbies who are here to watch my All-American videos, I have definitely organized some rewatches for All-American, and we can definitely do that with Snowfall as well. So just let me know in the comment section down below if we want to have a rewatch party. We can use Teleparty and get that cracking. If you missed any of my Snowfall coverage videos, I have the playlist link for you right here. And if you're looking for a new show to watch now that this is over, I have 2 bomb suggestions for you right here. I'm Erica Vane. I post new entertainment, television, film videos every single day, and you should really join the tribe by hitting subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.